Okay, now let's hello. Think about this is
Gague R&R.
second video lecture for when
Why,
measuring the critical
XY matrix.
characteristics of process.
So
go to your example 13.3.
It's sometimes very important
matrix
to
in action.
use
Some kinds of tools
which is included in
such
your
as
textbook,
gauge or other
and
tools.
click on your second
They may be
spreadsheet of
accurate,
Excel.
but oftentimes you can cause problems.
This
with
example shows
variation
a
in
matrix
measurement.
for a service
In
process.
other words, if you can measure
On the
using
left,
the
you
certain
have
tool,
input of
your
A,
measurement
of
may
A through G,
not be the
which is
exactly
7
the
different
same
input,
over time,
and
there will be a
associated
variation.
correlations.
One of the commonly
with
used
5
tools
different
of this
outputs,
measurement system
such as
analysis
vendor
is
selection,
Gague
component
R&R.
selection, all the
We
way
call
to
the
ship
gauge
to
repeatability
location.
and reproducibility analysis.
Also, you can note that
This is
each of the
called
output
Gague
is
R&R.
provided on important
So
ways.
this practice involves some
importance
complex
weights.
statistical procedures.
For example,
So for this reason, in this
between
course,
1
we will
and
look
10,
at them very
and
briefly.
for example, component selection is the most important output.
So this
the
gauge
ship to location
R&R
is the
is
least
used
important
to
output.
determine number one, accuracy, number
Then
two,
the
precision
relationship weights
of your measurement.
These are the relationship weights.
So various,
relationship
simply
weights
you
are
can use the two-way
provided
ANOVA
placed in the
statistical tool
in the matrix,
built in your Excel
and
file.
these are also
built in your
multiplied.
Excel. So this practice is pretty simple. What you can do is
So
you
have
can,
to install,
multiply
these
input statistical tools in your
by
Excel, output.
Then
using this
should
two-way
be done horizontally
ANOVA,
first.
we can
So
determine
go to
whether
here,
this variation comes
and,
from
your
the
input
part being
A
measured
times
or differences in
your output
operators.
vendor selection.
So using the two-way ANOVA, we determine whether this variation comes
we
from
want to fix
the
this
part
there
being measured
by adding a
or
dollar
different
sign
differences
differences
in
character.
operators. So click on this third spreadsheet. This is about the example 13.4, gauge
input A
R&R in action.
times
So
component
this
selection.
13.4 example
Again, we wanna
contains
fix this
measurement
there.
data. This is a part number. We have 20 different parts,
times
and we have 3 different operators.
input A
And
times
this contains the
internally
measurement data for a particular operation with
fix
3
this there.
operators taking 2 measurements per part. Sometimes operators, can take 3 or 4 measurements, but in this case, each operator they measure twice.
This is
So each part twice
G23
using the gauge and logs these measurements. Write down these measurements.
cost.
For example, operator 1,
fix this there.
measures part 1 twice
plus
with the 21 and
22
20 millimeters. The same operator measures part 2
times ship to
24
location,
and they get
fix this there.
24 and 23 measurement and so
And
on.
click.
So operator 2, then we copy this formula, measure the part
to
1, 20 and
all the
20
way to input
This is
G,
exact the same, but
and the
part
total,
2 same,
is
part 3 is
calculated.
different. So as you can see,
And
there is a
simply we
measurement variation.
which input is most important
Based on the
But,
total we do not know actually whether
score
this variation comes
indicate
from a part
the most important
or
input.
operators. In this case, there is
highlighted
another
already
factor
here.
we call
Input
equipment,
D
but let's
and
think
input
about these
F.
only two.
These are the highest
Whether this
score and
variation
pretty
comes from the
similar,
part
pretty close.
or from
So this we
operator.
also provide a rank. For this, we
This is
have
rank
to
1
go to
and
the
rank
tools
2.
and data analysis.
And
By the way, this
data
is,
analysis input 3,
data
rank
analysis
3,
tool need to
and
be
then rank 4
installed
using the Excel add-in,
and
rank 5.
Then you add in the analysis
6
analysis
and
toolpath
7.
and click OK.
So
then
your
you will see
conclusion
the
would be
tools and go to data analysis. And there are a bunch of important analysis tools are included here. We use the ANOVA 2-factor with replication. Click OK. The most important. Then here we see the input range, low for sample and alpha and output options. And they need to First of all, you need to include the input range closely. Here all the way to B4 through. Sometimes we just select the most important E44 input.
all the
if
data range.
rank 1 and rank 2 are
And then
not
in terms of
close,
rows for
sample, we
the wide gap
measure
we
twice,
just select only
so
one.
we put 2.
In this case, if we
Input
measure the
F and
3
D,
times, then we put 3.
we're pretty close.
We put 4.
So
like that.
input
Alpha
D and
indicate
F are
the
most important
confident
inputs.
interval. So
We usually
this
use
practice
the
is pretty
95%,
simple.
so you just
Provide
interval, so
calculating your
0.05
total.
score.
That's the default.
And you provide the rank, and you
Then we choose the output option.
input.
So output range. So
Just
practice
click,
other
in
questions,
random cell,
such as in your
where
textbook you will find
the
question 5 and question 6.
appropriate
These are pretty similar questions,
click,
and you will see the similar question in your quiz. Then the two-way ANOVA with replication is provided. What is important here is go to all the way down to the ANOVA table. You see the ANOVA table include the source of variation and then all other factors, including the p-value. Important thing is source of variation and then p-value. Here sample means part. So we want to know whether variation comes from part or column means here the operator. So there are two sources of variation. Number one is part or operator. So sample means part and column indicate operator. Then you look at the p-value. That p-value this indicate very close to 0. And that means part we just provide the summarize based on the ANOVA table. The source of variation sample is part and column indicate the operator effect. P-value here is basically 0. And here operator effect is a 0.27. So 0.27. 5. This indicate the insignificant. And then p-value 0 is the significant. So the closer to 0 is significant and 27.5% is pretty highly insignificant. So significant p-value indicate that part contribute, sample. Part contribute the variation. While the insignificant p-value indicate the operator effect has no impact on the variations. Operators, regardless of different operator, it does not matter. It does not contribute to variation. That's your conclusion. So we conclude that this variation comes from parts, not from operators. There are more than that, but we can stop here. And for your quiz, you can practice question 14 and 15 using Excel. This ANOVA two-way ANOVA with application. And I will ask the similar question in the quiz. Okay, so let me stop here. Thank you.